Tonight we're gonna be watching what everyone gets wrong about planes. Okay, I'm sure we will learn something today about the planes. You can say we're gonna be watching this video. This is a video by veritasium, and they have a lot of subscribers, and this video got a lot of views, not gonna lie. But yeah, what everyone gets wrong about planes. Let's see.
Most plane doors aren't locked. There are no keys, no sensors or passcodes to secure them. If someone wants to pull the lever, they can.
A man opened the emergency exit door and forced his way off the plane.
And yet, with 40 million flights each year, these doors are virtually never opened in flight. So why not?
It's self-preservation, surely.
Common sense.
Most people are, smart enough to not mess with that.
Yeah.
The real answer relies on where planes fly.
How high do planes fly, approximately?
10,000 kilometers, or is that overshooting it?
I think that's overshooting it. I think you'd be in space.
25,000 kilometers.
That's the height of a plane flying.
Is that way too low?
It's too much. It's too much. Too much.
Isn't that about 20 to 30,000 feet? I would say that 20 to 30,000 feet. I could be so off, or I could be so off, or I could be saying too much, but I feel like I could be saying too less. But the last time I heard about plane flying in a video or something was like, they said it was about 20,000 feet, 20 to 30,000 feet. So yeah, I would say about 30,000 feet, you can say. But that's too much. That's too much.
Still
3
space.
million
50,000 feet, I think.
Some of them can go up to
He's kind of close
43,000
as me.
feet.
30,000 feet.
38.
Yeah, that guy knows. So I would say, yeah, that's what I was saying. 20 to 30,000 feet would be
1,000
makes
feet.
sense.
Yeah. Why do they fly that high?
I don't know.
Because they are
Safety, I
planes.
guess.
Probably to avoid collision with other aircrafts, and if there's high
Yeah, that's
mountain
true.
ranges,
That's
I don't
kind
know,
of
when,
common,
when storms
common sense.
or weather hit.
My guess is to avoid a turbulent weather.
I think that's a decent guess.
Now, it's true that one of the benefits of flying at 30,000 feet is a smoother ride. This is high in the troposphere, the layer in which most weather occurs. So there's less turbulence and fewer storms to navigate around.
Okay.
But this is not the main reason that planes fly so high. The bigger reason, of course, is money.
Oh.
As you go up, the density of air decreases. And at 33,000 feet or 10 kilometers, the density of air is just a third of what it is at sea level. So flying at this altitude, the plane runs into a third of the air molecules it would closer to the ground.
This thing, I'm not understanding any of it, but especially the formula thing they are using, because I'm so bad at math. I hate math, but let's see.
Density of air is just a third of what it is at sea level.
From this.
So flying at this altitude, the plane runs into a third of the air molecules it would closer to the ground. That means the plane can fly about 73% faster for the same amount of
So I
thrust.
guess the wind or something is more dense in the bottom, and you're more free when you go more high and high. So that's why it can go faster.
And as a result, you get to your destination faster, and since you spend less time in the air, you burn less fuel.
Makes sense.
Seems in a way that climbing is wasted energy. Can you compare the descent to the ascent? Do you essentially get the energy back as you fall down the other side?
Yeah. When we climb, we burn about 80 kilos per minute. In cruise, we burn about 40 kilos per minute. And in descent, it's maybe 10. So it's almost negligible.
Oh, you have same mic as me. But what this guy is talking about makes sense, because in the start, the plane have to, make some power. And if you have been on a plane before, and you can feel when they start, it's like feel power. Then it just, kind of. So first is 80, then is 40, which just makes sense, because just cruising, in the top. Then 10, because just all it have to do is, come down, kind of density, density, gravity helps with coming down. Yeah, so kind of makes sense.
Not only that, jet engines are more efficient at altitude. They work by compressing air at the intake, mixing it with fuel and igniting it, so the combustion products are ejected very fast from the exhaust nozzle. Now, this process is more efficient the colder the air is.
And at
Oh, the
altitude,
colder
the
the air, the
temperature is
better.
around minus 50 degrees Celsius, which is a lot colder than
Wow,
an
that's
average
very
of
cold.
plus 15 here at the ground.
So flying higher means you burn less fuel for less time and avoid the weather and associated turbulence of lower altitudes.
The other reason you want to fly high is to take advantage of the jet stream tailwinds. And the company likes people who do that because you're burning less fuel, so it's less money.
But there is a problem with flying this high. The air up there is unbreathable.
If you were suddenly teleported to the top of Mount Everest, a height lower than planes fly, you would remain conscious
29,000
for
feet, okay.
only about 3 minutes. This is because
Wow.
in addition to density dropping with altitude, so does air pressure. Air pressure actually falls off faster because it depends on the weight of all
air
the air
pressure is the
above
main
you.
thing, maybe.
So at 10 kilometers, the air pressure is only a quarter of what it is at sea level. To be clear, the air is still 21% oxygen, but the partial pressure of oxygen, the pressure exerted solely by oxygen molecules, is around 5.5 kilopascals, which is a quarter of what it is on the ground. Now at this pressure, not enough oxygen molecules can force their way into your blood in your lungs. To function normally, humans need an oxygen partial pressure of at least 16 kilopascals. So all the cabins of airplanes that cruise at high altitude must be pressurized.
Right.
A little bit of air is continuously brought into the cabin from outside. It actually comes in from the compression stage of the jet engines.
Oh.
That is what maintains breathable air inside the plane.
The downside is that you are taking away a little bit of the efficiency of the engines.
Now, pressurizing the cabin required a radical redesign of aircraft.
Before pressurization, planes would fly up to 10,000 feet, or
Yeah,
around
so
3
lower, so
kilometers,
it's
where the
easy
partial
to
pressure of
breathe.
oxygen is 15 kilopascals, just at the limit of what people can handle. On these planes, doors opened outward, and there wasn't much concern about the seal around them, since the pressure was the same on both sides. But once planes were pressurized, all the doors were changed to be the shape of a plug.
Yeah.
They're wider
So
on
they
the
are more
inside than
sealed?
the outside. That way, the higher pressure inside the cabin pushes the door into its frame, creating an airtight seal.
Seal, yeah.
How airtight is a cabin?
It's pretty airtight, but not completely airtight. So you'll notice, for example, every time that someone flushes the toilet, you'll see some of the air pressure go down. So every time that happens, you can actually see the cabin altitude jump a little bit.
And this is why plane doors and emergency exit doors don't need locks. The difference in pressure between the pressurized
Like, it's
cabin
so
and the
much
low
pressure,
pressure
it's so hard
exterior
to open,
is
right?
so great that no one is strong enough to pull the door
Yeah.
inwards.
Makes sense, man.
And if someone had come up and turned that while you're mid-flight,
Nothing.
Even modern plane doors that open outward are shaped like plugs.
Then how do
They're
these
just
people
cleverly
who come in
designed.
the news,
The
like,
main
oh, he opened
passenger
the
door
door
on a
of
Boeing
the
737 is both
plane,
wider
blah, blah.
and taller than the frame it needs to pass through. But when you pull the lever, gates at the top and bottom fold in, reducing the height just enough. However, the sides are still too wide, so the door first has to pop inside and rotate. It's that movement inwards that is impossible at altitude. It would require a force equivalent to lifting 9,000 kilograms.
Wow.
And airplane cabins aren't even fully pressurized to the sea level pressure of 101.3 kilopascals. You may have noticed this if you take a bag of chips on a plane. It's easy to squish on the ground, but as the plane climbs, the pressure in the cabin drops and the chip bag seems to inflate like a balloon. I measured the pressure in my plane, and at cruising altitude, the pressure dropped to 77 kilopascals, meaning the partial pressure of oxygen was only 16 kilopascals, the minimum required for people on the plane to feel normal. This has some unintended consequences.
do you think you fart more in a plane?
If I did, I'd blame someone else.
I feel like no. It's no.
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 I can't let it rip. No way in the world.
Do you think you fart more in a plane than on the ground?
100%. No hesitation. Sure, I mean, it's got to do with the cabin pressure, right?
So as you go up, that cavity in here now expands and the air wants to go somewhere. And the quickest place it can go is south.
So you do
Bag of
fart
chips
more.
just popped by itself.
Oh, damn.
Now, the International Space Station is pressurized to sea level pressure, 101.3 kilopascals.
So why are planes pressurized to the minimum extent possible to carry human passengers? Well, it's actually for a very good reason.
In 1988, Aloha Airlines 243 was en route from Hilo to Honolulu, Hawaii. The cabin was being pressurized as we've described, but unfortunately, this plane's fuselage had a small crack. And all of a sudden, at 24,000 feet, the crack widened and the whole roof tore off the front of the plane.
No way.
Miraculously, the pilots were able to land safely and only one person was killed. The difference between the International Space Station and a plane is that the ISS was pressurized once and it stays pressurized.
But a plane experiences a pressure difference every time it climbs to cruising altitude. So the fuselage is stretched and then relaxed with every flight. Stretched and relaxed, stretched and relaxed.
The Aloha Airlines plane had the second highest 737 flight cycle count in the world, with nearly 90,000 in total. That's way more than it was designed for.
Oh, it was 75,000.
This led to fatigue, cracking, corrosion, and the eventual explosive decompression.
So planes are pressurized to the least extent possible to minimize stresses and extend the life of the plane. But even 75% of atmospheric pressure should be plenty to prevent the doors from opening. So how did this happen in May 2023?
Yeah, how did... I feel like this happens when they kind of forget to lock, when someone make a mistake and they forgot to lock the door before flying, because there's no way, as they described, that they can open their door in the mid-flight, in the mid-air. So I'm sure someone make a mistake and they don't lock it properly or latch it properly and it's not sealed properly the way it should be. So that's why I feel like things like that happen.
A passenger panicked and actually managed to open an Airbus emergency exit in flight. They were on final approach then, they were quite close to the ground, so the pressure differential was very little. And because of him using all of his force, he actually managed to get the door open, which was crazy, and we didn't think that was possible. But if you want something bad enough, I guess it is.
Wow. Was he okay?
He was okay. Everyone was okay in that case.
That was a pretty serious mishap. So I guess the next logical question is, have any other passengers inadvertently caused a mishap by, say, forgetting to put their phone on airplane mode?
Yeah,
when you're sitting there on the tarmac and they come on and tell you to put your phone on airplane mode, do you do it? And why do they get us to do that? What is the reason? Is there a reason?
Obviously, they wouldn't ask you to do it if it wasn't for some benefit.
I'm unfortunately a bit of a rebel and I don't follow the rules. And yeah.
But you're not worried about taking the plane down?
I make sure my parents have the airplane mode on so I can have it off.
I mean, yes, I do, because I don't want it interfering with
just
like
do it,
the radio
because
or
anyway,
whatever.
Well, I think it's the...
Anyway, the plane, most of them don't have Wi-Fi and stuff, and even though you cannot get the signals up there, it's kind of hard. So it's kind of useless. So just put it on airplane mode, safe for everybody, So,
communication
it's easy.
interference.
I feel like I've always been told,
some kind of communication interference could
instruments.
Maybe that's why they ask.
But honestly, they're always just told to do it, so you just gotta put your phone in airplane mode.
In 1961, the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, found that some portable FM radios could interfere with plane navigation systems since they used neighboring radio bands. And out of caution, they banned almost all personal electronics on flights. But airlines could test any device for interference and overrule the FAA ban to allow it on board. Any device, that is, except a phone. Because another organization has jurisdiction over phones, and that's the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC. See, a phone on the ground with buildings and hills around it can usually only see 1 or 2 cell towers at the same time. But from the air, it could see 10 or 20 or more.
So many.
The concern was that 200 phones traveling at 800 kilometers per hour in a plane could rapidly connect to many towers at once, overloading the infrastructure. At least that's what the FCC thought could happen. So they banned cell phone use in flight in 1991.
So people couldn't take
there's
cell
a
phones
problem
before there,
with this theory. A plane is a big metal enclosure, essentially a Faraday cage, so it should block almost all electromagnetic signals. That's why plane antennas are located on the outside. Your phone signals can only escape through the windows, which means they go horizontally out the sides of the plane, so they would have to travel long distances before reaching the ground.
Right.
And the cell towers your phone is trying to connect to, well, they are tilted downwards, to collect all the signals from people walking around on the ground. So it's very hard to make a connection from the air unless you're flying really low. So
makes
phones
sense.
could only conceivably disrupt ground networks during takeoff or landing. And the FCC never even tested if this was the case. In 2005, they went before Congress and said the rule banning 800 megahertz cell phone use in flight may not be needed in order to protect ground-based cellular networks.
Okay.
As far as we know, a mobile phone has never caused an air accident. All
That's good.
airplane mode does for sure is save your battery life. So why are these rules still around?
I've been flying myself, and where I've gotten interference, when you're talking to a traffic control and you get that beep, 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 that signal. And that is because someone is either using their phone or the phone is on. Will one
this thing also happens when you leave your phone near the TV. I don't know how if it still happens with the new TVs or new technology TV, something like that. But if it does happen with the TV, like if you get a call while the phone is sitting just beside the TV, you'll feel kind of the same thing. Something like
phone
that.
in an aircraft cause any problems? Probably no. Will 200 do something? Maybe. Rather than taking the chance of let's everyone update their Twitter profile at 500 feet. Rather than saying that, we're saying no, just keep them off, enjoy the Wi-Fi up at altitude and that's it.
Yeah.
But airplane mode might soon be a thing of the past. The EU actually no longer requires it and is pushing for airlines to provide 5G service on all EU flights.
Yeah, most flights are doing that
So
now,
we may
giving
eliminate
Wi-Fi.
that inconvenience, but we still have to deal with airplane food. What do you think about airplane food?
I only eat the bread rolls. That's the only thing I can handle. Apart from that, everything
Airplane
tastes
food
like
is not
mush.
bad. It's
It can
all
be
right.
very good, it can be very terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Blandish, different consistency.
It depends. Yeah, it could be really good or it could be really bad usually.
Do you think the food tastes as good in a plane as it would on the ground?
No.
No.
But bad
at
tasting food might not be all the airline's fault. See,
Yes, I think so. Just the pressure and how the pressure and the air in the stomach and all that makes your appetite a little bit less. It can make your taste buds, taste the food a little bit different due to the pressure or you are in the plane. So I feel like something like that is going on.
air that's pumped into
why
the
it's
cabin
not
at altitude
that good.
is really dry. I mean, the Sahara Desert,
see?
for reference, has an
something like
average
that.
relative humidity of 25%.
Air,
But inside an airplane cabin, it can be as low as 5%.
So it's so
This
dry.
can dry out your nasal passages, hindering your sense of smell and therefore taste. The lower cabin pressure can also decrease sensations like the intensity of salt and sugar. But there is one flavor that appears to be enhanced in flight. What do you drink in an airplane? What's your drink of choice?
Apple juice.
Apple juice?
Yeah.
I like orange
Interesting.
juice.
I mean, Coke, that's default.
Orange or apple juice?
I drink orange
Gin and
juice or
tonic?
water.
Maybe a Bloody Mary if
You're the
Why
first
this guy's
one
always
today.
he
Really?
always
Yeah.
have a different answer for
A German survey of 1,000 flyers found that more than a quarter of them ordered tomato juice in flight. And what's
Tomato
really
juice?
weird is that 23% of those people would never drink it on the ground.
Yeah.
And would you drink Bloody Mary? Would that be like a standard drink at the bar, or is it a special plane drink?
I only have it on planes.
So why is everyone ordering tomato juice?
Why I have never seen anyone order tomato juice? Not even the people I know or the people I'm traveling with. Nothing like that. Even seeing someone or even listening to someone, can I have a tomato juice please? Like, why I never heard that? That's weird, but okay, so many people order tomato
Well,
juice.
it could be because of the noise.
A 2015 study points to the chorda tympani, a nerve that carries taste information from the tongue to the brainstem. It runs right past the eardrum, between the tiny sound-conducting bones. So loud cabin noise might unintentionally stimulate it.
This could produce an audio illusion that boosts our sense of umami, the savory taste you find in MSG, soy sauce, and, well, tomatoes.
I always drink tomato juice, and I never knew why. It just felt like my plain drink,
tomato juice.
or like spicy tomato juice.
Yeah.
Like both of those are favorites of mine.
Yeah.
So next time you're on a flight, go for something extra sweet or salty, or maybe try the tomato juice.
I might try the tomato juice.
I feel like with how much people fly, our perspective of flying is still pretty distorted. So why is that?
Yeah. I know that we talk a lot about accidents and incidents and we dig into them really, really deep.
But I'm
and
so
people might
scared to
ask,
fly now, man. I
why
don't
would you
know.
be doing this? Doesn't that
I
just
have,
make people
you know,
even
that-
more afraid of flying? But the fact is that this is one of the prime reasons why aviation is as safe as it is. The fact that we have hundreds of professionals that dig deep into these accidents means that we learn from them. So every flight becomes a little bit safer. That's actually a big reason that I started my channel, Mentor Pilot, in the first place. Because I promise you, the more you know, the safer you'll feel.
That's true.
Do you
Wow.
think that climate change increases turbulence?
Depends on what people think. What the
It
opinions.
does. It does, I think.
There's been a bit of that in the news recently, hasn't there?
Today, the media tends to prioritize sensationalized headlines over key details. Part of why airplane mode is still such a big deal today is because of the media frenzy it started in the 1960s. So it's more important
I'm
than
fine
ever
with
to look at
airplane
all
mode, man.
sides of the story. This is why we specifically asked Ground News to sponsor this video. Recent story.
All right, bro. What a great video, man. Nice one. I really enjoyed it. I really don't enjoy enjoy. I mean, you know, because these all videos are kind of informative or talking about very crazy topics, you can say. But this one was really good, yaar. I really liked it. It really told you what everyone gets wrong about the planes. Like, what are they and why the things we do in the plane we do, you know, like what's the reason behind it. We learned about the turbulence, we learned about why the planes fly so high, we learned about how do we fart more in the plane, or how the food taste, does the food taste better or worse in the plane, you know. And the airplane mode was very interesting one as well. And yeah, overall, what a great video, very nice video, man. It got about 7 million views in 1 month. It deserved it, man. Very interesting video, and this is my first time watching this channel video, so if you guys wanna watch it yourself, the link will be in the description. But yeah, great video, very informative video, full of information, and I loved it. Really simple. I really like the visualizers as well, and I did learn a lot, and I'm sure you guys did too.